Hi guys, Rick Yates over here at Zedsphere. I hope you're all well. Since we last did a video update, I've been down to the coronavirus barbershop and chopped off my mullet. And so hopefully you guys still recognize me with my new stylish look. I'm just here to give you a brief video explainer on the results of week 5 of the IT services industry status survey. And actually, it looks like there might be a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, which is really good news because we're starting to see a reduction in the amount of cancellations and lack of busyness and a bit of a turnaround, which I'm going to show you the full results now and you can fully understand where we're at. So I'm just going to share my screen and we will dive straight in. Right. So question 1 was about how busy have you been this week compared to last week, and these results have totally changed compared to last week. So last week, the orange and the light blue categories were much higher. You know, that was right out here, and a lot of people were busy, were a lot quieter than the week prior. Whereas this week, it's kind of changed. People are mostly about as busy. And or slightly busy or slightly quieter. It's very equal, which is really good news because it means that it might actually mean that we've bottomed out in terms of you know um, the level of downturn in the activity that IT providers are seeing. So that's really good. And there seems to have been kind of like there's not much change in the level of pauses or cancellations of services that IT providers are experiencing. So, there still are some customers that are pausing or cancelling some services, but the majority of the industry that's responded to this survey, I think it was about 78 respondents this week, was that no, we haven't had any cancellations or pauses on service at the moment, which is good considering that the large majority of the country that's in lockdown, businesses are still needing their IT providers. So this question is about additional services that have been requested. So this is one that's slightly, not concerning, but hasn't really improved, and that's that, you know, that end users are not requesting additional services, and this is really a reflection that a majority of end users might still need their IT providers, but they're not putting their hands in the pockets to get extra stuff going. Which I guess if you're in the position of an end user business leader, you could understand why that might be, given concerns around cash liquidity and stuff like that. But for the customers that are requesting extra services, let's stick a word cloud on this, give us a bit of a better view. It's still largely around remote working and elements of security. So let's just have a little closer look at that. So VPN, multi-factor authentication, remote working, just good old TLC. Yeah, so it's largely based around the remote working stuff, which is really what we expected. Look at this one though. This is, what have your customers needed from you? And it's all business as usual. This is much higher than it has been previously. The requirement for setting up remote working has gone right down. And so it's kind of like we're just waiting for the next stage to happen now. But like I said, this does make it feel like the downturn has bottomed out or is bottoming out, which is really good. And it's just kind of getting on with business as usual, as usual as it can be. So this question is about, what do you think your customers are going to need as isolation continues that they might not be aware of? I mean, proactive guidance and support has always been the big thing here, and this is a really good opportunity for MSPs to just check in and support the customers, not necessarily to sell anything, but to build the emotional and logical trust that supports the development of strategic relationships, and that's something that has been consistent throughout. And more suitable remote connect facilities, so we've been getting a lot of requests for high-end VPN, software-defined VPN, that kind of thing. And so these have really stayed the same over the last few weeks. So this is interesting. 65% of MSPs are saying it's not been necessary to place staff on furlough. These results are quite different to what we've seen. This is a little bit lower than we'd anticipated and what we've seen before. So maybe a little glitch in some of the results there. But people aren't really looking at placing staff on furlough. So 75% are saying that they're not going to place staff on furlough next week. So I think everybody who's on furlough now pretty much is on furlough. I mean, you had 10% saying that they would place staff on furlough next week. So there's a small part of the industry that's still suffering and putting those kind of measures in place. What would you find most useful to help your customers during the crisis? So insight on what other IT providers are doing has always been up there, but actually the ability to diversify your business, it continues to grow. And something that we're looking at is finding ways to give MSPs the opportunity to almost take a "would you like fries" with that approach to their customer base. So what we've found is that MSPs aren't necessarily looking at doing something that's completely diverse from IT services, but or they can actually just add on diversified services that are relevant to IT. So things like adding on end user training or certain security tools, that kind of thing, and packaging things up almost kind of like in bundles, like a service package add-on, that kind of stuff is something that a lot of MSPs are looking at. This is really reassuring because we have 33% of MSPs that responded saying that they think they're going to grow as a result of coronavirus, which that's the highest it's been throughout this whole process. And only 1.4% actually been worried that it's going to shut them down. So this is for me is really reassuring because this reflects the earlier information that we had about it kind of like not being as busy this week as last week. People have kind of like leveled out. So I do think that this is reassuring, and that fingers crossed that the level of impact that coronavirus is having has actually bottomed out. So this is interesting. 60% of MSPs are still saying that the biggest concern is that the customers won't be able to pay due to cash liquidity issues and the credit crunch. And secondly, that there's going to be a shortage of business leads coming out of the back end of coronavirus. However, we still only have 25% of MSPs say that they have some customers that are having challenges with paying their bills. That's not necessarily meaning that they're inheriting they're picking up any bad debt, but we are talking to MSPs that are saying that they've kind of like given customers some extra payment terms, that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, what we're picking up is that that's largely through just them being nice people and not holding customers to strict contractual obligations for payment. So it might not even have been through necessity. It's just through wanting to help customers get through this difficult time. So this has gone right up. 71% of MSPs are saying that they are working on some longer term strategic plans during this time. And a lot of it has been around optimizing operational working processes, which is something that MSPs love to do. Something that they like to do less is try and look at ways to do sales and marketing, but we've actually got a really good response here that 33% of MSPs are looking at options to diversify products and services, which is really great because that's been a lower score over the last few weeks. And if you're not looking at anything at the minute, this is what people have said they would like to be doing. Improving your ability to create new business leads is taking the lead there. So clearly MSPs have got an eye on what comes next and what can happen as what is clearly going to be a quite a considerably changed working culture, and what MSPs can do to kind of service that kind of environment. So in my mind, that is actually quite a reassuring set of results, and fingers crossed, it does mean that we're getting to the bottom of the kind of like downturn in terms of like impact of coronavirus. What would be great as time goes on over the next 2 to 3 weeks would be to see MSPs saying, yeah, we're getting a little bit busier now. Some customers are starting to kind of like open up again, or open up maybe in a slightly different way, but they're starting to trade and do business. Or at least make plans for when they open, and that's going to require some service from IT providers. So I hope that was useful. Please do bear in mind that we need you to contribute to this every week to keep these results accurate. There has been a little bit of a downturn, which we kind of expected as things quieten down. But if you do see the email pop in, or if you see this on social media, please do complete week on week. All right, I'll catch you next time for next week's update. Bye for now.